World leaders thought they had it under control. They thought Trump would just play by their rules, that he would ask permission, wait his turn, nod politely while NATO fumbled and G7 politicians held their endless summits, right? But he didn't. This week, President Donald J. Trump, he did what no one expected and exactly what global elites feared the most. He cut them out, all of them. No NATO, no EU, no Zelensky, just Trump and Putin one-on-one. A private meeting is now set in motion without the so-called allies. And what happened next sent shockwaves through every foreign capital from Berlin to Ottawa, Canada. Because if Trump pulls this off, if he ends the war without their blessing, it doesn't just change Ukraine. This resets the global power order permanently. I mean, this isn't about peace talks in theory. This is about control over energy, trade, sovereignty, and the future of the West. Now, we're unpacking what the White House has not officially confirmed, but can no longer hide. Why Trump sent a private ally to Moscow instead of a State Department diplomat. Why Zelensky's latest message was laced with frustration and fear. Why Macron, Starmer, and the rest are now frantically holding side meetings behind Trump's back. And why the timing of this coinciding with Trump's domestic energy realignment, it matters more than anybody's willing to admit. The press is scrambling. Allies are furious. They're pissed off. And yet the most important question remains. Did Trump just corner Putin, or did he just maybe he, cornered them all? Anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. If you appreciate the news updates, hit the like button and subscribe. So get this, guys. President Trump, he has officially confirmed what the media has been whispering about for years. So we need to start with what has actually detonated this firestorm. Trump is moving, he's moving forward with a private one-on-one meeting with Vladimir Putin, excluding NATO, mind you. This is the big piece here. He's excluding NATO, excluding the G7, and yes, even excluding Zelensky. His words were clear. Putin wants to meet with me, so I'll meet with him alone. That single sentence, it sent global capitals into a tailspin. Critics instantly called it reckless, dangerous, even undemocratic. But the question we should be asking is this: what if it's not weakness? What if this is the strongest diplomatic move in decades? Because for all the handwriting that from the think tanks and the talking heads out there, none of them have stopped this war. It's been going on for a long time. None of them have secured peace, and none of them have cornered Putin until now. Trump's approach cuts through the red tape, through the leaks, the press conferences, the staged outrage, and all the fakeness. I'm done with the fakeness. I'm just telling you right now. He's essentially isolating the power play, guys. He's isolating the power player at the center of the conflict, and he's doing it without asking for permission from the global bureaucracy. And they hate it. They're losing their minds. So whether you agree with the tactic or not, you really can't ignore the shift in gravity. The world's attention is no longer on Brussels or Geneva. It's on Trump. Everybody wants to know what is Trump going to do next. They're studying him now. And since it's on Trump, they're wondering what he's planning to do behind closed doors. But here's where it gets even more volatile. Within years of Trump confirming the solo meeting, the backlash from America's so-called allies was deafening. French President Emmanuel Macron, he's furious. He's pissed off. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer reportedly blindsided. Germany's Merz calling for an emergency summit. And Canada's Mark Carney, he didn't even try to hide the defiance. He told reporters, we're on our own schedule now. Translation, they've lost control and they know it. So let's be honest, guys. These leaders are not upset because, they care about peace. That's not why they're upset. They're upset because Trump isn't playing their silly little games anymore. France is now refusing to buy U.S. weapons for Ukraine. Essentially, Australia is bypassing America's warships and ordering from Japan now, even at a higher price. And in private calls, NATO officials are admitting that they've been completely cut out of the loop. So now ask yourself this, right? Is this a case of allies abandoning the U.S. or Or is this the moment that we realize that they were never true allies to begin with? Just clients who basically got used to calling the shots through American blood and American dollars, right? Well, Trump's not just cornering Putin here. He's exposing who actually wants peace and who just wants control. And so the next move that Trump makes, it's going to send even more shockwaves, because what he just did in Moscow, this is something that no president has ever done before. So I want to go ahead and jump into that. Now, let's talk about this real quick. You could be paying too much. You could be getting too little, or you could be missing out on benefits and you might not even know it. Now, I've partnered with Chapter because they help uncover what others miss. Their advisors found Sharon Bertusic a plan with zero premiums, zero medication costs, and dropped her copay from $89 to just $20 after she lost Medicaid. She got kicked off, and it was horrible, but Chapter helped her out. Ed, on the other hand, age 84 years young, he is now saving $684 a year. I just love saying that. And it feels good to know that I had a little bit of part in helping Ed out a little bit, right? Chapter compares all the plans in your area and they find what's actually best for you. There's no fees, there's no pressure, there's no gimmicks. They're totally free. But Medicare plans do not stay the same forever. So do not wait, guys. Give them a call right now. See how much money you can save. Make sure you're on the best plan. And I almost want to say worst of all, make sure you're not getting scammed. They're going to check all that for you for free. Give our friends a call at Chapter right now. Phone number is down below, 909-563-8279, or go to their website at askchapter.org/Ron. I left a link for you down below. Make sure you're not stuck on a plan that doesn't fit you anymore. So let's talk about the man that Trump sent ahead of his historic meeting. Not a Secretary of State, not a Pentagon advisor, not a deep state careerist. He sent Steve Witkoff, a real estate investor and longtime Trump confidant. Now, is Trump looking to start up some brand new Trump resorts in Moscow? I don't know. But the media lost their ever-loving minds. Unqualified, they screamed. No foreign policy experience, they panicked, right? But here's the thing. Trump didn't send some bureaucrat there because he doesn't want negotiations stuck in the same stale frameworks that have failed for the last 15 years. So that's why he didn't send another bureaucrat. Does that make sense, guys? I think it does. Try something different. I mean, what do they say about insanity? If you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, that's insanity. So he didn't do that because Trump's not insane. Okay, eureka. Do you see the yellow light bulb above my head? Anyway, he sent a dealmaker. Somebody who knows how to sit across from power and get some real movement. Now, Steve Witkoff's mission wasn't to spin some empty press statements. It was to feel the temperature, read the room, and prepare the space for something that no Western diplomat had ever been able to achieve: a position of leverage over Vladimir Putin. Now, this wasn't some amateur hour situation. This was Trump drawing a sharp line in the sand and doing it on his own terms. And while everybody was obsessing over Witkoff's resume, they missed what the White House was quietly setting into motion back home. Hey guys, I've been saying it for a long time. 4D chess. Y'all seen it? Because Trump's real play isn't about appeasement. It's about squeezing Putin into a corner economically, diplomatically, and globally. So let me go ahead and show you how this is already happening. So while the press was mocking Trump's envoy in Moscow, they weren't paying attention to what he was doing right here in the United States. So first, Trump raised tariffs on countries still importing Russian oil, including India. Then he restructured American energy exports to replace Russian pipelines and supply lines to Europe. And now he's reviving domestic uranium enrichment programs to make the U.S. completely energy independent. This isn't a man begging for peace, clearly. This is a man weaponizing the market, tightening the screws, and making sure that when he does walk into that room with Putin, that he's not doing it from a place of desperation. But in fact, he would be doing it from a place of undeniable strength. He said it himself: I alone can end this war, honestly. Pretty clear as day. That wasn't like, some riddle or anything like that. That wasn't rhetoric. That was a declaration of pressure, of power, a signal that Putin's usual leverage, Europe's energy dependency, NATO's fear, Washington's indecision, is gone. And so now ask yourself this: is Trump going too far, or is he doing exactly what the last administration was just way too weak to attempt? And while Putin is being boxed in, somebody else just threw shade at Trump from the sidelines. Zelensky. I haven't mentioned his name in weeks. Anybody miss him? I really don't miss him, but I got to talk about him for a second. So hear me out, guys. Zelensky just responded to the Moscow visit, and his tone says everything. So let's go ahead and get into what the Ukrainian president really meant and why Trump isn't even taking the bait. So shortly after Steve Witkoff's visit to Moscow, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, he posted what looked at first kind of like a routine update, but if you read between the lines, it sounds more like a warning. Go figure, right? Zelensky. Okay. So the war must end, and it must be done honestly. That's what Zelensky said. That's what his post said. One sentence, carefully chosen. And many in the diplomatic world kind of took it as a thinly veiled jab at President Trump's back channel negotiations, because if Zelensky had confidence in what was happening, he wouldn't have felt the need to remind the world what honestly looks like, right? Right? I mean, here's the part that really matters, though. Trump didn't even bother responding. He left that man unread. He didn't even like open his text. He didn't take the bait. No tweet storm, no quote rebuttal, no, Snapchat battles, none of that. No TikTok fights, not even a casual mention of his last press conference. Why? Personally, I think Trump looks at Zelensky like, dude, you're freaking irrelevant. But because when you're faced and focused on outcomes, you don't waste time on optics and all this, little chatter on the sidelines. He's not worried about that. This isn't about scoring press points or trading barbs on social media. Trump is playing for real world results, a ceasefire, an end to escalation, a blueprint for stability. And frankly, the backlash from Zelensky only confirms what we've already seen. The traditional players are nervous, not because they don't want peace, but because they're not the ones that are driving it anymore. That's the problem. It's a loss of power. And this is exactly what has Europe in panic mode right now. Now, behind closed doors, the panic isn't just about the optics. It's about irrelevance. Sources confirm that during Trump's latest conference call with NATO leadership, including UK Prime Minister Starmer, Germany's Merz, NATO's Secretary General Rutte, and Australia's Anthony Albanese, Trump delivered a message that shook them. You won't be meeting with Putin. I will. Boom. Mic drop. Dude just walked off the stage. Nah, it was like a virtual call or something like that. But anyway, just like that, guys, the rules changed. The multilateral model was sidelined, and every G7 planner, NATO staffer, and EU negotiator was cut. They were cut out of the core deal. It's like, dude, you guys are irrelevant. Let me handle this. I don't want to be influenced by you. I don't want y'all saying anything, ruining the deal. Y'all ain't going to be a part of it. So now in typical fashion, they're calling it a threat to democracy. That's like their favorite phrase for Trump, right? But let's go ahead and ask the obvious question. What diplomacy have they delivered? Because from Crimea to Kiev, the results speak for themselves. Trump didn't isolate NATO. He exposed NATO for what it has become, a bloated echo chamber, more focused on process than progress. And while they hold side meetings and leak complaints to the press, Trump's already moving forward with a direct line to the one man who can actually stop this war. But the question nobody dares to ask in public is this. Well, what happens if Trump actually succeeds without them? This is exactly where we're headed next, guys, because what President Trump is about to pull off might just explain why the global elite are trying so hard to discredit him before he even steps into the room. So here's the part they never planned for. Not that Trump would talk to Putin. They knew that was going to happen. Not even that he would execute or not even that he would exclude NATO and the EU, right? They knew that was a possibility. No. What's really gotten the foreign ministries in full-blown meltdown mode right now is that Trump might actually succeed without them. In a recent post on Truth Social, President Trump, he confirmed what many had suspected already. Great things are happening. Peace is possible. Now, that short post lit up encrypted diplomatic channels across Europe, guys, because While the establishment tries to frame this as Trump going rogue, key figures, Rubio, Vance, even Marco Rubio himself on Fox Business, have hinted that something very real is happening behind the scenes. No leaks, no press briefings, just cold, quiet movement toward a deal. And if Trump walks away with a ceasefire that he negotiated with his own team and without the West's permission, it will humiliate the global elite. It's going to delegitimize years of failed diplomacy, and it's going to flip the balance of power almost overnight. Mark my words, guys. Their fear isn't that Trump will fail. Their fear is that he won't fail. And so here's what really makes this fear even worse than that. Trump is simultaneously cutting off their other lifeline too. He's cutting off Russia's energy leverage. So let's break this down real quick, okay? While Europe dithers in diplomatic deadlock, President Trump is rebuilding the global energy map, and he's doing it at warp speed. So look at the facts. The U.S. is now replacing Russia as Europe's top energy supplier. Trump has raised tariffs on countries that are still buying from Moscow, including India. He revived domestic nuclear fuel production with a new private sector partnership in Tennessee, making the U.S. less reliant on foreign uranium, and natural gas already ramping up with 1.3 gigawatts of new capacity coming online just to power the AI boom and national infrastructure. So what does this mean geographically? What does this mean geopolitically? Well, it means Trump isn't just cornering Putin diplomatically. He's starving Russia's war machine economically. And so it also means this. If peace does come, it'll be on Trump's energy terms, not Europe's. No wonder France is refusing to buy U.S. weapons. No wonder Australia is turning to Japan. They're not protesting Trump's tactics. They're panicking over their loss of control. They're power hungry, almost like some narcissistic leaders over there. Anyway, which kind of brings us to a moment that the media keeps twisting. You remember when Trump said that he would end the war in 24 hours? They said he lied. But the truth is way more strategic. So I want to talk about what Trump actually meant by that and why this joke, it was anything but a joke. So let's talk about what the media wants you to believe. They want you to believe that Trump lied, that he backtracked, that his famous claim, "I'll end the war in 24 hours," was never serious. Now, you've already seen the headlines, I'm sure. Trump admits he was just joking about peace. No plan, just rhetoric. Empty promises from the golf course president, right? Well, let's get one thing straight here. Trump never said it would be easy. He said it would be possible if someone had the backbone to actually try. And what he admitted later was not a retraction, but a tactic. I was being sarcastic, but I do want to get it done. Now, if you think that this is a sign of weakness, you're kind of missing the point here. Trump is a negotiator. He knows how to control narrative flow, shift leverage, and keep his opponents guessing. That sarcasm wasn't surrender, guys. It was strategic ambiguity. Now, I gave him space. Look, forget me personally, right? What he did gave him a lot of space to operate. It quieted the critics that, to give him long enough to be able to set the table behind the scenes, if that makes sense, right? And so now, with real conversations that are happening and real pressure building, the same media that mocked him is all of a sudden backpedaling. Ask yourself this. If there was no press, if there was no progress being made, why is everybody so afraid that he might succeed, right? Because behind the sarcasm, there is a plan, and it's working, and they freaking know that. And that's why they have a problem with it, and that's why they keep poking at him. But this actually brings us to what might be President Trump's most understood or misunderstood move of all. Meeting Putin alone, no cameras, no advisors, no NATO. Not out of weakness, but as a weapon. Now, let's get brutally honest here. Every administration before this, or at least before, this current Trump administration, they treated meetings with Putin like ceremonial photo ops. Dozens of handlers, multiple translators, carefully rehearsed talking points, right? It was all, what do they call it? The dog and pony show? Yeah, that. So what did we get from all that? We didn't get anything. We got nothing. We got more war. We got more escalation, nuclear bomb threats, more dependence on the same failed frameworks. Trump's approach, strip it all away. We don't need any of that. No NATO gallery looking over his shoulder. No G7 bureaucracy dragging every sentence through 10 legal committees. No press conference where Putin can grandstand in front of global media. Just two men in a room, maybe a pool table. I don't know. I don't know. Does President Trump shoot pool? Does Vladimir Putin shoot pool? I don't know. Maybe, what's that new popular game that they play now? It's like tennis, but it's not tennis. It's like with a bigger ball. Anyway, just two men in a room, right? It's kind of like ping pong, but not. Anyway, so what does this do? It removes the theater. It removes the back channels, all the noise. It puts Trump in control of the tempo and the tone, and of course the outcome. I don't think that's weakness. That's leverage. It corners Putin psychologically. No allies to deflect to. No media to manipulate words. Just Trump and the truth. And so this is why European leaders are scrambling. They're not afraid Trump's going to go soft on Russia. They're afraid he's going to end the war without them, and then prove that they were the ones that were getting in the way all along and prolonging the war. And so now that we're just days away from what insiders are calling the most consequential meeting in the decade, we need to talk about what might happen, and real fast, to be honest with you, and why the next 72 hours could literally flip everything upside down. So now the world is in locked suspense mode. I mean, they're just waiting. They're watching what's going to happen. What's going to happen, right? Sources from inside the administration are saying that the meeting location has been finalized, with the United Arab Emirates emerging as the top candidate for neutral ground. The logistics are in motion. Security teams have been deployed. And of course, behind the scenes, draft ceasefire proposals are being quietly exchanged. But here is what nobody knows. Who's going to blink first? Look in the camera. Like, oh, wait, I'm looking in the wrong camera. Look in the camera. Don't blink. Don't blink. Oh, okay, I blinked. All right. Who's going to blink first? Will Putin make concessions that he's never made before? Will Trump put pressure on Zelensky to accept a deal with European backers that they would never approve? Or will both sides just walk away knowing that this face-to-face just changed everything, even if nobody says it publicly? Diplomatic insiders are calling this the moment of fracture, because whether or not a deal is signed, one thing is now crystal clear. Trump, not NATO, not the G7, is the center of gravity. If peace comes, it's going to come through Trump. It's going to come through him. And if it doesn't, it won't be for the lack of trying, but because the entrenched powers preferred the chaos that they could control over the resolution that they couldn't. And that leads us to the only question that really matters at this point. So here we are now. A sitting American president preparing to meet privately with Vladimir Putin, while NATO is sidelined, the EU is fuming, and even Ukraine's president is posting cryptic warnings. Yeah, depending upon who you ask, this is either the boldest diplomatic breakthrough in decades or the greatest foreign policy gamble since the Cold War. This is not a bluff. This is not a stunt, and it's not politics as usual. It's a reset. Trump is forcing the world to choose: global peace through American strength and direct negotiation, or endless war managed by bureaucrats who still believe process matters more than the outcome. He's not asking for permission. He's also not dependent on these people, and he's letting them know. And that's also something that they have a problem with. So no, he's not asking for permission. He's asking for results. So now the judgment isn't his. It's really yours. So what do you guys think, who's watching the show right now? Is President Trump showing the kind of leadership that the world desperately needs, or is solo democracy a step too far? Drop your answer in the comments below right now. And if you believe the public deserves to know what's really unfolding behind closed doors, share this video right now, because no matter where you stand, the next move will reshape history. And YouTube believes you're going to really enjoy the next video that just popped up on your screen right there. So click that video and we'll see you on the other side.